Everybody's by surprise, coming in out of absolutely nowhere. Darren and Jimmy just Anyway, well, we're back. Another week.
We're back. We're back. It's wonderful to be back, even if John did insist on shutting down yet another tangent into the world of Kendrick Lamar on this supposedly football podcast. How are we all doing?
I'm good. 3 points clear back into the playoffs. You're not on top of the table anymore. I kicked Dean off his fucking perch after his big mount last week. It's been a very, very good week. Hi, Dermot.
Hey, John. Solid week over here. Good point for Leeds at the weekend. No danger of them not winning that league. Atletico rocking and rolling in Spain. It's all good things on the football front here.
Dean.
Very nice. Well, United are no longer FA Cup champions after a pathetic display. As soon as it went to penalties, I knew we're not winning this. But at no point during the game did it even look like we were going to win.
They're still champions, though.
Huh?
They are still the FA Cup champions.
Well, yeah, I suppose they are, but we're not in it. So, yeah, it all hangs on the Europa, which looks about as likely as fucking Celtic winning the Champions League right now.
Brighton made the quarterfinals, so I'm happy.
John, what are your feelings about the FA Cup? You're a United fan and a Fulham fan, I'd imagine.
I was very happy to see Fulham go through. It was great. It looked like they were going to win the whole time. You'd want to be a very, very bad football team to lose to Man United 3 times in one season, and the only team who've managed that this year are Leicester. So we've decided to honour them today by wearing the Leicester jersey, because they are definitely going to be one of the teams going down. But we'll talk about that a little later. Jimmy, I want you to suffer, because last week you came on here gloating top of the league. And it also was you passing by your brother, Dermot. So Dermot,
it was a little bit of poetry. For like we're bracketed by 2 pieces of beautiful football poetry here, being last week and this week. Last week I was here and I was obnoxious because I had on points difference taken top spot of the league by beating my brother in the Cav Bowl 2 weeks ago. And I would like to point out for the record, I did this to myself. None of you bitches beat me. I got so tired of beating all of you, I actually beat myself up and got myself an illegal team by doing something really, really, really stupid. So to explain what happened, when the transfer window closed, we were all discussing and excited about James Ward-Prowse. So I quickly picked him up in a bit of a flustered hurry. And for 3 weeks, not a man-jack among the 10 of us noticed that Damo has had him since August, which meant that we had the same player in 2 spots for 3 weeks, which of course was a legal team by me, which meant we had to roll it back because it was invalid, which meant I've actually had Kai Havertz for the last 3 weeks, who has played slightly less Premier League football than I have in that time. We had to reverse the result of the Cav Bowl, giving Dermot an extra 3 points, me losing 3. And then just to really round it off, I fucking lost to Damo this week. So Dermot has managed in the space of 1 game to go from second place to 9 points clear at the top. And once again, for the record, this had nothing to do with him. I did it all to myself with my eternal downfall, which is fiddling with things, because I'm a bloody moron, and now I'm a second place moron. So that's the top of the table.
So wait, John, quick point on that there, brother. I was never in second place. You were accidentally in first. Also, I was telling the lads before we came online, I went out last weekend on Saturday night while losing my game, while you were winning your game before any of this came out, and I thought I was 3 points behind in second place. And I woke up the following morning 9 points ahead. And it was fantastic. It was the best hangover I've ever woken up to.
Yeah, and look, looking at the actual mechanics of the game for a second, right? Because it's clear I just have absolutely cocked this up. The weird thing is, at one point this season, you were either 12 or 15 points ahead, and I caught you. And I don't think there's really enough time to do that again. Like we're right down the business end of the season now. There's only 7 or 8 weeks of open play left.
So I think
well, that's the thing. That's the beautiful piece of poetry.
Though I won the first 14 games. It's very hard to catch up to.
What like it's 15?
What?
Hi. I happened to you in week 15 and beat you.
Oh, don't worry. I'm sure that'll flip when we audit those fixtures as well.
Actually, the one 3 weeks later already has. Our games get very complex, so this week should be fun. But yes, it is a 6-point game, but in a 9-point margin. If I can pull something off, happy days. I'm actually more pissed off about dropping the 170 points. I had this like huge, throbbing, oversized, ridiculous novelty points difference that's now just very, very good. This time last week we were talking about the top 2 slots were tied up. Now it's actually open. Dave is within touching distance of me if it all goes wrong properly, which it might with all of the blanks that are coming up. And then there's John, who is absolutely giddy to be 3 points ahead of Dean, as if it matters.
It doesn't matter. I'm back in the playoff spots, and
I have my bye week this week,
so it's fine.
Yeah, something we need to.
Who does John have this week?
I'm going to finish the regular season in third. Dean's going to do nothing.
Sure.
We're all playing each other this week.
Yeah, I'm going to finish.
Crayons derby between John and Dean and Campbell.
Here's something as well. Points difference doesn't matter in this league because we don't have defenses. You are not. Your points difference was much better than mine for most of the season, James, which is actually more impressive for me that I'm holding off higher scores and still beating them. It's not impressive to beat people by 100 points when you don't stop them from scoring.
Yeah.
Jimmy has had the lowest amount of points in the league score to get him this week, which means
it should be head to head.
Which makes the amount of points that you're on very unimpressive. Because
except that I've got more points scored than any of you.
Statistically, you have played everybody on their worst week since it started.
That's the thing.
That's not true.
But
that's
also,
not true at all. That's absolutely not true. That's absolutely not true.
You are
absolutely the case.
That is absolutely not true.
Second
the games I have lost have all been everybody's best week of the first half of the season, and not only
that's
that,
not
but
true.
ultimately,
That's
my players score more points. So you can play all the sophistry you want, but my boys score more than yours or yours or yours. So
you have the fewest points conceded, James, which means teams are playing worst against you.
No, it means that when I win by bigger margins.
No. You don't impact. You cannot. Your players can't stop other teams from scoring points. That's not how this works. Your team scores points. Other team scores points. So if you're winning against smaller scores, you're playing guys on their bad days.
But I'm not. The games I've lost have all been against people's best days. Look it up. Look at the fixtures. All available on. I can't say where that website is. Can I?
The total say what the total. I love that this is pissing him off as much as it is.
Yeah, that's the thing. The totals, we're all looking at the totals. You have the fewest points against, except for something called the Craggy Naggins. I don't know who that man is or where he should be tonight.
But I've also
that's what we're saying.
Actually, control. I've done better than all the rest of you. So
that's not the. But then stop talking about points difference. Points against shouldn't even be on the table. Actually, it should be head to head versus if you're tied on points, the person beside you, and if not, total points scored.
Interesting gameplay suggestion.
Anyway. Leicester going down.
Leicester are going down. Well, there's a middle of the table as well. Let's not forget the middle of the table.
Middle of the table is come here. The middle of the table right now, Jimmy, is the Champions League race. There's 5 points again still.
Oh, I'm at our table.
Oh, and our table. Okay, go on. Finish off talking about our table. This is the part I'll enjoy. Where am I?
There's 3 teams fighting it out with 3 points between them for that last Harrison spot. And it's Craggy Naggins, Spitting That Wang, and my Rostitutes. And they're constantly jumping over each other and beating each other and meeting each other and losing to each other. And I think it's actually going to be the tightest contest of the year. Apart from you and Dean, who are playing this week. And I look forward to that because, to be fair to John, who has been on form the last couple of weeks,
I'm going to skin him, continue on my little run, and I'm going to solidify fourth and start taking off that gap into third. I'm going to finish the regular season in third. I'll tell you that now.
You have the second highest points average for the last 5 weeks. It's pretty impressive. Guess who has the highest?
Here's one, James. Me and you would be second and third in the Premier League, behind only Liverpool.
I could live with that.
Yeah.
I could live with that.
And also, it's not me and John this week, Jimmy. It's myself and Kim, which basically means I have a bye week. And John is playing. John is playing Damo, who just had a very, very good week.
Oh, bless. I'll be fine.
Yeah, but he didn't do it on purpose.
Yeah, he didn't do anything.
Evidenced by him not knowing he had James Ward-Prowse.
Damo is what you call it. He's Palace under that lad Roy Hodgson. They could win 3-0. They could lose 4-0.
That was amazing.
No idea what they're going to do. When he came back, it was chaos.
Yeah, it was class. Yeah,
Beautiful. They played some.
that man managed Inter Milan in I think 1997,
Really?
and Crystal. Yeah.
Jesus Christ. He has been
Roy
long.
Hodgson had a fucking career. He did like a couple of international jobs. I think he did like Switzerland at one point.
Really?
He was one of those
Roy
managers who just did bits.
Oh yeah, he did everything. He was everywhere.
He just upped and.
Yeah, Inter from 95 to 97, and then back as caretaker in 99.
Okay.
Gas man.
Italian football was quite decent at the time.
The Italian league's not bad this year.
Is it?
I think. Come here. I think
There's a good league, like.
I don't know. I don't think so. I think there's a lot of players who fail in the Premier League who go over to Italy and look like fucking crazy good players. Like Darmian went over. Chris Smalling went over and became Chris
And
Smalling.
Philip Billing just scored the equaliser for Napoli last night
Yeah, exactly.
against AC Milan. But there's only 3 points between the top three teams. That's what I mean by a good league.
Yeah, Scott McTominay's Messiah over there this year.
I know, it's like Football Manager McTominay. He's just a beast somehow.
Billing was a solid mid for Bournemouth last year.
He's a sub for Bournemouth this year. And then he went to Napoli, didn't he? Halfway through the season, or was that last summer? Either way, he left the Bournemouth bench and ended up at Napoli. But I'll tell you something, that Bournemouth bench is going to be trickier to get onto in the next couple of years. They can hang on to their manager.
Yes.
That man's going far.
Yeah, he's done very well.
Let the team going places.
Yeah.
There's some quality managers in the Premier League at the moment, like, and like you can see from the results.
Marcos.
Yeah, and even the young fella for Brighton, what's his name?
Howlitzer.
Yeah,
Hurlitzer's
and then you've
there,
obviously got Emery, like Emery, fucking like with Aston Villa just been outrageous.
Glasner, Emery, Victor Pereira, David Moyes back in a hot seat. We've got
David Moyes, like yeah.
The weaker managers are the likes of Maresca.
And even Thomas Frank. I mean, I think Thomas Frank is probably on a lot of top team in the world in Europe's radars. Yeah.
Thomas Frank's an interesting one because Brentford, I think Brentford more than any other club are a club, and their success is down to them being a club and the way the whole club's been operating for years now. You know, I know they had Tony. I know Frank's a class manager, but like.
Yeah, but
those lads were so far ahead of the game in England.
Yeah, like since they came up, like I can't remember what year they came up, but they've been solid. Like, they haven't really been in any relegation battles the past few years. They've been pretty mid-table. Like
they are now
15, 16th a couple of times, I think.
It's no joke getting to mid-table in the Premier League, though. You know,
serious.
Resources as a team with their resources and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Pumping above the weight in the way they have.
Do you think PSR has a lot to has a big kind of effect on that, like, or do you think it's just clubs being ran very, very well?
I think it depends on.
Do you think PSR has kind of like leveled the playing field a little bit?
Well, I don't know because I think it depends on the club. But like Brighton are very much the type of club who you can basically pull out any manager out of that club, and that system will keep rolling on. I think Brentford though are the type of team where if Thomas Frank comes out, that leaves a huge fucking hole in that club in terms of how they operate. They're very well structured and ran, but I think his position as the manager, he has so much control that if you take him out, that club changes. Whereas Brighton, every 2 to 3 years, you can cycle a manager. I think that it just depends on how the club operates, and Brentford could be in trouble.
That's interesting because that's exactly what a lot of people were worried about happening at Liverpool when Klopp left. They were like, Klopp is extremely powerful, and I don't mean that in a authoritarian way, but the fact is, like, he had a lot of control, a lot of impact across the whole club, and people were like, "Oh, it's gonna not go to."
I thought it was going to be a transition period. I thought that they were going to struggle to make top 4.
I don't know what I thought, but I didn't think they'd be 13 points ahead in March. You know.
Yeah.
But it's also interesting because, like, talking about that, the teams coming up, man, Joe, if you can get established in like 11th or 12th in the Premier League, now you've done a good job. The championship last year was the best championship there's ever been. Leeds finished 3rd with 90 points. And the crowd that came up are getting the absolute legs taken out from under them every week.
They're absolutely getting pissed on. Like, we want to talk, we intend on talking relegation tonight, but like I think it's one of those ones that the 3 teams in the relegation zone, they're kind of fucked. Like Leicester,
it's done.
Leicester, Ipswich, Southampton, they're so bad. They're on track to be the worst trio of promoted teams in the Premier League era.
Do you think Van Nistelrooy will make it to the end of the season?
I think he walks before the end of the year, to be honest.
Walks? No way. They all need to stay for their payday to get fired.
But like the only other team right now who could get relegated is Wolves.
And Cunha keeps getting red cards.
He's out till the 5th of April.
Like Everton are 32 points. You've Ipswich in the relegation zone at 17, and only Wolves, and it's 5 points at 22. So Wolves are 5 points clear, and they're the nearest competitor.
But the thing is, there are two teams who could conceivably get out of it. Leicester and Ipswich. They're only 5 points back from Wolves.
Yes.
Now, Southampton are gone. I'm sure we can all agree on that. The others, though, if I'm Wolves and Cunha's got another red card, they're heavily reliant on him goal scoring. And didn't the other lad get injured, Larson, or is he back now? I can't remember.
He's back
Still.
And
Look,
in any case,
I think there's a more fundamental thing with Wolves and the other three, right? First off, I think like Leicester and Ipswich at least showed some promise towards the start of the year. Southampton have been a car crash beginning, middle, and end. Leicester, if you're not El Kanous, Buonanotte, or Vardy, do not pick Ipswich. If it's not Leif Davis before Halloween, do not pick maybe Muric on your worst day if you need a siege man. But the problem everyone else has is the fixtures they have left. Wolves don't really have. I mean, there's no easy games when you're in. 17th place, but Wolves' last 10 games are a hell of a lot softer than Ipswich and Leicester. I don't think Southampton even feature in the conversation, but Leicester still have to take on City, Liverpool, Forest. Ipswich still have Chelsea, Arsenal, Newcastle. Wolves have a softer run. I don't see where the other two pick up enough points to overtake them.
I think if any of the teams are going to get out of it, it's Leicester, and I would say that because there's something about Leicester. They have a Jamie Vardy. They have a couple of players there that know the score, if you get me.
Mm-hmm.
Like
you're talking about people who are Jamie Vardy is
ancient,
7 years past his peak.
Oh yeah, but like put it like this: we all know in a few weeks' time, certain clubs are on their summer holidays. There's teams in the mid-table. They're not getting relegated. They're not in the European battles. They're already on their summer holidays. Leicester could rock up there with somebody with a little bit of that stardust that Jamie Vardy could bring on for 15 minutes. Do you know what I mean? It's those kind of games when your Palaces are off on the fucking beach at week 31.
But wouldn't you
need to talk
if you're
about Palace, by the way?
Definitely. If you're going to back someone like Vardy to do it for Leicester, I'd back Cunha 10 times before I'd back Vardy to do it once. Yeah, I think they're probably gone. What about Southampton? Do you think they could beat Derby? They're averaging a point every 3 games. If they keep that up, they'll end up on
12.
Somewhere between 12 and 13 points, yeah. Derby have the record on 11.
They do.
Worst ever from 2008.
It's completely possible that they could go the rest of the season without winning another game of football. It is not beyond the realms of possibility that Southampton can go from here until April, the end of April, without winning another game of football. And I wouldn't be surprised.
They're really bad.
They're really bad.
Yeah, they're dreadful. They're really bad.
It's a gimme.
This is the other question then I've been knocking around with, and we're not the first people to bring it up or anything, but like, obviously, John, you can probably speak to this more than the lads, but is getting promoted even the promised land anymore from the championship? Because I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying it's better to be in the championship. Yeah, but the money that I'm a fan. I'm talking from my point of view as a regular fan. The only thing I want to do is watch the team play good football.
Yeah.
I realize now that I don't actually care what level that's at. Like I used to say to the lads here in Valencia when things started getting real ugly with Bielsa, we lost 7-0 to Spurs, we're losing 5-0 to Liverpool and all that. And I was like, I'd rather go down with Bielsa because I know what I'm getting from him, and it's not relentless attacking. Good football all the time.
You're talking to 2 United fans.
Like if you're an Ipswich fan right now, last season the place is fucking hopping. They're going to win the championship.
Yeah, it's unreal.
You know, versus this year where they're getting an absolute height. You know, fans are going to the stadium every week knowing they're getting a beating.
Yeah, you're watching 2 players develop well in Davis and Delap that you know aren't hanging around past the summer, no matter what.
Yeah,
you know,
it's like there was a few years there where Fulham were a yo-yo club. You'd be in the championship, you'd be watching Mitrovic score all of the goals, and then you start your season with hope, and then your hope fucks off when you see Scott Parker absolutely tank the club and you end up getting relegated with the greatest Premier League team that ever got relegated, might I add. That team that Scott Parker relegated. Do Jimmy, that team, if you look at that squad, 9 of that starting 11 are currently playing Champions League football. It's fucking nuts.
Yo, on that note, Scott
Harry
Parker.
was the goalkeeper. You had Aina was the right back. Robinson was the left back. You had
It was crazy.
Sambo and Gisa in the middle. You had Adam
Adama.
Lookman on the right side. You had
Insane.
That's a great squad. That's a great squad. I've never.
Yeah, but it's not.
Okay.
But that's again, those are guys years before their peak, you know. It's like the Vardy thing. It's great, good name for now or whatever. Speaking of Scott Parker, John, you know he's at Burnley at the moment.
I do.
Do you know Burnley have only conceded 9 goals in 34 league games this season?
Yes.
It's absolutely incredible.
Who's the goalkeeper there?
They're impenetrable. Let's see. I thought it was still Trafford.
Yeah, it's still Trafford.
Yeah, it's still Trafford. Yeah, if you can hang on to him going down.
I think they had to deal with him, the new ownership that came in, the American lads. I think it's one of the ex-American footballers. It's like, if I don't concede a goal, will you go back playing? Your man goes, I'll go back playing if you don't concede another goal between now and the end of the season. He hasn't conceded since that conversation.
It's crazy. But that's mad. Like 9 goals.
Something like that, one of those boys. He basically went, your man goes, yeah, I'll come out of retirement if you don't concede for the rest of the season. He hasn't conceded since.
He'll have to concede, but it's impressive nonetheless, right?
It's still cool. That's a keeper on a mission. But
yeah.
I don't know. Like, look, the teams that are going down, you have Ipswich, they're fucked. I've enjoyed watching them, but they're fucked. Leicester.
It's only going to get worse next year as well, because I'll tell you, as someone who watches the Championship, Sunderland have been good. Sheffield United are good. Those 2 teams are both still good, you know. There's a couple of other half-decent teams in there. But Leeds are walking it.
Yeah. I know we'll have a hard year next year coming up.
And we'll have a hard year coming up next year. And those 2 other teams, whoever they are that come up, we're going to be here in 12 months' time talking about, wow, do you think they're going to beat Southampton's record of 9 points in the Premier League? You know? And we're going to say no, because it's going to get worse and worse, I think.
But at some point, don't a Bournemouth and a Brentford and a Brighton and a Villa claw their way up high enough? Well, Villa's a bad example because I imagine
there's only so many spaces up there. Who are they going to display? It takes I would say, let's take Brentford as an example. What are we looking at? A decade of consistent crawling up the table. Yeah. Maybe not even place by place each year, but maybe we climb a place over 2 years, you know. And we're talking here about how they're one of the best run clubs in the world, you know. There's no more space up there. There are like we spoke about this the last time I was on here. Like there are probably 25, 28 difficult games in the Premier League now for everyone. Quality's gone so good. The mid-table teams, like I mean, we don't need to go into too much detail about Villa in Europe, but like, come on. The strength of some of the Premier League teams is crazy when you start looking around the rest of the country.
Like you're looking at Bournemouth potentially being in the Europa League next year. It's fucking banana. Like there is something to be said about when a team can get a foothold. Like I remember for years watching Fulham Yo-Yo. They got promoted. They went and spent. There was a summer they spent 120 fucking million and went down.
Mm-hmm.
Went down, and then they came up with a squad that was ripped apart, and then they came up and they went down, and then they came up again, and then you were sitting there kind of going, oh, not again. And you just stayed up that first year. And it's that first hook. It's that, okay, we came 16th, fucking A. Now you're in the league. Now you have something to build on. It's that first year of trying to. It's like if Leeds stay in the Premier League next year when they come up in the first year, they'll be there for 2 or 3 years minimum. After that, because they have they're a big enough club.
But that's not what happened. We went up. We finished 11th. We had Bielsa, and then we got relegated.
Yeah.
So like that should be an example of just how difficult it actually is. You know. Like I like that Bielsa team with that Leeds team with Bielsa is up there with like that Fulham team, and I would say that Wolves team, and no other teams in the Championship history can touch any of those 3 teams, you know. And again, we're talking like 1 year and you're gone.
Yeah.
Although Wolves have been up since then, Wolves have stayed up the whole time, which is pretty impressive actually. They're due a relegation.
Wolves have been very, very lucky. In my opinion, Wolves have been very, very lucky that for the last probably 2 to 3 years, the bottom 3 teams have been so fucking bad.
No man, Everton should have been gone years ago.
Yeah, Everton are very lucky.
They're so lucky.
But they can't.
And now they're because they haven't lost a game in 7. Everton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
What is going on?
They've been the 14th team for a while now, and I was going to say, like, Everton are like, obviously there's some sort of clause there that they can't be relegated, and don't forget, with any bit of luck, Man City will be relegated.
Wow.
Once again,
That's not the world I live in. That's not the world I live in.
Talking to any kind of legal matters of any description. There's very little fantasy in this football talk.
Do you want to hear a funny anecdote about fantasy?
Yes.
Slightly unrelated, because we're talking fancy Premier League fantasy now for a sec.
The dirty cousins over on the other side of the road.
We love them. That's our neighbours. We love them.
I'm the dirty cousin. A colleague of mine invited me to his private fantasy league with him and his friends. They all live in Armenia, and I'm first. He says weekends are basically them bitching about me, and I love that. I've never met these guys. I've never met this guy in person, but I love that.
It kind of sounds like Dermot, not Dermot, Dave. We all know of Dave. We all spend our week bitching about the man who has autopick, but I haven't seen Dave in a year.
I see Dave every year on the last day of the season. We go for pints, creative pints, and then I go and lose the final of every fucking league we have, and it's great.
And then you go into hibernation again for another year.
Dermot, will you be over again? Will you be over this year for?
The first day of the season is like Christmas for Jimmy and Santa Claus.
For the final 3 game weeks, I will be setting my lineup from Brazil. Hopefully catching some good soccer down there. Hopefully not dying in the Amazon.
I hear they're good at football down that way.
I heard that, all right. And I've heard it's good crack at the games. Some might say the fans get into it. Who knows?
That part I genuinely know nothing about.
We need to do an before next season starts. We have to do like a barbecue or something, because I've still never met Gary Cronin.
That's
can that be some league lore there for a moment? Because Dina Hearn only met Gary Cronin for the first time on Gary Cronin's wedding day.
When was that?
I think that was 2 years ago, was it?
Yeah.
That was
the age of the league. The two boys had never met each other.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. And the second time we'll ever meet each other will be in my wedding after 11 years.
I love this league. However, there is a threat.
We should do a league holiday. We should do a league holiday.
Match
There's
day.
an iceberg headed our way, gentlemen. Actually, it's been bouncing Statrcast for a while now, and it's this thing where the football teams run off to win some sort of cup, and I don't like it. I like order. I like numbers. I like straight lines. I like 10 games a week. I like fixtures where they're supposed to be. But the problem with this time of the year is that there's the FA Cup, something called the Carabao Cup, which I believe used to be called the Coca-Cola Cup back when I was still young and cool.
The Worthington Cup.
The
what?
The Worthington Cup, it used to be called.
It was also the Carling Cup for a while.
Middlesbrough.
Obstruction is what it is. It gets in the way. And this evening I had a little look just to see who it's getting in the way of. And do you remember earlier I said we need to talk about Palace?
Yes.
They're in both cups.
They're in both cups, and they have one of the worst DGWs possible in 32. Sorry, jargon moment. Double game weeks, which should bring happiness and joy if you have players. But the reality is, if it is this part of the year and your team is still in 2 cups and you're not Man City, your rotation risk just went through the roof. So you better hope there's some good fixtures. Unfortunately for Palace, they have an away game to Newcastle and an away game to City and 2 cups to contend with. This isn't a stock market show, but if it was, I would be saying sell, sell, sell.
Yo, but hang on. What about this though?
Injured because of the. Did you see, lads? Can we the Mateta injury from the weekend?
The kick in the
Holy
face.
fucking duck!
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, man! And only a yellow card, like absolutely.
Well, he got sent off in the end.
Yeah. There's an image of it that is just made for what happened next on A Question of Sport. It just makes absolutely no sense.
25 stitches in the ear.
Jesus, yeah.
What it was like.
And then Mateta is something like 6'2" or something as well. So like
your man went up to the sky there to get.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way you could say that was an accident. Like you do not hit your foot for 6'2" in the air, like without fucking launching yourself.
But the point about the cups is interesting, James, because you'd normally be thinking, like, let's say if I don't know, like Man City are still in the FA Cup now. Now they have a deep enough squad well, in most areas of the pitch, not the ones that matter this year. But anyway, you'd often be seeing now that what the big teams are doing is they're not taking the cups as seriously.
Yes.
But because a lot of the big teams are not in the cup anymore, are we about to see Palace rest players in the Premier League? Because they're not getting relegated, they're not getting Europe, they could win a cup.
Well, I think that's what's going to happen with a few of the teams. So, like Fulham assets in the Premier League now have just gone through the floor because the weekend for the midweek fixture, Fulham, for example, actually rotated out 6 of their starting 11. They went with a back 3. They played Ryan Sess. They played what earlier in the season would have essentially been their Carabao Cup team in the Premier League in anticipation for the game at the weekend against United. So I can guarantee you now that as long as a team like Fulham and Palace are in that competition, because it's so close to the end, they're going out with their big boys. It's a lot of perceived middling teams that are left in the cup.
They can't all. You're not going to see 5 teams say, "Oh, let's rest players for the league." That would be suicidal.
Palace
So
and Fulham,
just so we're clear as to who's
definitely rest players events in that cup game because they're playing. They're playing each other. That's their chance of getting into a semi-final. That match week, I'll guarantee you that the likes of Iwobi, Anthony Robinson, they'll be given a holiday, and Palace will probably leave Eze and Eze and Agehi on the bench in anticipation of that game as well.
Yeah, they're lucky the bottom 3 are so shit.
Just so we know for the people listening, this is
potentially a chance to be in an FA Cup semi-final. Like, do you know what I mean? That's going to Wembley.
This is Monday the 3rd, and the remaining 8 teams are as follows. 8.5. There's Fulham and Palace, which is probably the best game in it. Villa have Preston North End. Short of a miracle, that's a B team for Villa. No worries there. City, and I wonder if maybe you could apply the same learn that maybe they'll be going in.
No, they're going for Europe
against City more confident.
They're going for Europe. No way are they rest.
They're going for Europe.
They won't care.
Right.
They won't care.
Then against the winners of the ongoing 0-0 between Forest, which really are doing but there's a lot, like you were saying there's a lot of teams there who are kind of half but not going to be winning the league. You see a bit more investment than usual. Fixtures, I don't like that we don't know who's in the semi-finals and the final yet. It seems a very inefficient way to run a competition, to not know who's playing each week, and I'm damn opposed to it until it works out well for me, in which case it's great.
But, come here, what about
if by some grace of God, Jimmy, Brighton and Fulham get to the FA Cup final, like, we have to go.
Yeah.
We have to go. There'll never be a day when either of those teams get to an FA Cup final. One of us is going to be happy, the other is going to be pissed off. I'd like it to be you. So,
speaking of going to live games, did you go to the Treaty United game the other day?
No, other things came up, but there is a commitment to get to see more League of Ireland football this year. There was a reason why we couldn't be there, because we were busy getting the Statrcast built.
We were. Jeez, it's great to see League of Ireland getting some legs under it again.
Yeah,
it is. That's our only hope of ever having a somewhat competitive national team ever again.
Well, that's where Gary is tonight. Gary couldn't make it because he's
one last thing on the cups before we move on. Aston Villa are class. We all agree they're class. They're unreal in Europe. They're 10th. They only have 42 points.
They might go for it. Games that you feel like they should.
They're frustrating. They've been frustrating.
I mean, like, what was it?
Well, in theory, you'd be saying Villa, they've been having a wonderful season. Bournemouth are ahead of them. Brighton are ahead of them. Fulham are ahead of them.
Again, if you were to add 3 points to their total, they'd be in the European places, and they'd only be 3 points off third.
They've also played a game more than all those teams.
Like the real table I can see here is from 10th with Aston Villa on 42 points up to Forest in third on 48 points. Mm-hmm. That is incredibly exciting.
Like, if you look at the last few games, okay, and I'm just going to include the FA Cup just to give. Well, no, I won't. Like, Palace beat them 4-1.
Yeah.
And the week before that, they beat Chelsea 2-1. And the week before that, they drew a Liverpool 2-2. And the week before that, they fucking drew 1-1 with Ipswich, who also had a red card. Like, there's no consistency whatsoever.
Isn't this what happens when teams who aren't ready,
they lost the fucking Wolves,
aren't ready for Europe?
1st of February. Like, this is it as well. Like,
it's not that they instantly become shit and they're like struggling in 16th. It's that all of a sudden the wins become draws. They're tired, and those home games that end up 1-1 last season would have been 2-0 or 3-0. You know, it's really interesting because it seems to happen to everyone. It happened to West Ham. Was that 2 years ago when they went on? They won the Conference League, I believe, actually. Just eviscerates the squad. Like they're just absolutely not ready for that. And then there's also like the travel, especially if you're in Europa or Conference, you're traveling on Thursdays, and it's just
game on Sunday.
I'm yet to see like somewhat like not the more recent Big Six team thrive in Europe and maintain in the Premier League. It's very difficult. This league is so good. This league is so good.
There is another thing at Villa that I think is worth pointing out is that Villa team have only been playing together for 3 weeks. Like we've talked about how they won the transfer window. Like their starting lineup has more drastically changed than anybody else's. So as well as exhaustion for the old hands, they'll also have a gelling problem at first
in very specific areas, right? And if there are certain areas in the pitch that you can chop and change with, it's those positions where you have the likes of Rashford and Asensio. Like you want your defenders, your defensive midfielders, ideally your keeper. You want that base to be set from as soon as possible from game week 1 at all. Wingers and strikers you can swap in and out without actually destroying team chemistry as much as you'd think, at least from what I've seen over the years. You know what I mean? You don't want to fuck around with your back seven.
Well, look at teams like a few years ago, like Saliba and Gabriel as a pair are just delicious. But you took Saliba 2 years ago when Saliba got injured, like the replacements weren't exactly poor players. The replacement was like Ben White, who's a very, very established footballer.
Leeds legend.
It's like like a Robert Holding, I think it was at the time.
Rob Holding, yeah.
The other guy there. There was probably someone else there that I'm scooting over. But like it is those defensive players where you can't really, where that's important to not fuck around with. Yeah. Like look at all the best teams. They have the sub winger, the sub striker.
Exactly.
That has potentially been a starting at some point in the season, and you can just go, we need something different. And you get.
And then you can even see and Rashford and Asensio are two prime examples of this, is that fucking around with your most advanced players can actually kind of like revitalize a stalled engine. You know what I mean? Like I know Villa's results have been a bit iffy so far, but I mean Rashford and Asensio are coming in hot. You know. Well,
Liverpool strike force. What is their front three? We know Salah is one of them, and the others kind of rotate.
Yeah. Gakpo kind of start. I think Gakpo might be.
I think Gakpo in his position now, but like
I think he's in a good case to kind of make it to be their starting striker next season.
But it's not a striker though. He's
left side.
Yeah, I like Diaz a lot.
I like Diaz. Yeah.
Salah's obviously God.
Yeah. But
I don't know. I still I often argue for Darwin, and I know his finishing is a joke, but like. It's not like when he's out. It's not like when he's out there they're losing games. It's just he's not scoring goals. But he's such a lump of annoyance. I kind of like that.
What he is, and I can see this. I can see this happening. He will go and play for Dermot's Atletico Madrid team, and that is the kind of place.
No way. He wouldn't last 10 minutes.
He would find home there because he'd bring that chaos energy, and actually the first one of those donkey chances that he misses goes in. And he stays there and is loved for being the psychopath.
I think he's linked to Saudi.
He's going to go to Saudi.
He's going to go to Saudi.
I just wanted to see Dermot's reaction. He's going to go to Saudi.
If you want to see Dermot's reaction, you heard it here first. Atletico are going to knock Real out of the Champions League this year. For the first time ever. I promise. Atletico go so fucking good this year. Sorry, I don't know if we're cursing. This is Simeone's third version of the same. He's done fucking Charmander, Charmeleon, and now Charizard. He's won the league 4 years ago. He won the league 10 years ago. They're about to win the league of the Champions League again this year. They're so good. Watch them.
They've only conceded 16 goals this season.
They are they've had the best goalie in the world for years.
Barcelona have scored 71 goals this season, and Real Madrid has scored 55, and Atletico have scored 43.
Do you want to puke? Open up the Spanish women's football table.
They're also top of that, aren't they?
Barcelona they have not won one game this year. They win every game all the time, and it's like 8 goals, 7 goals, 6 goals.
And as you do, it's Ipswich 1, Nottingham Forest 0.
So that was another point I wanted to get to was Forest
at
87 games.
He's starting to look like one of those transfer window pundits.
Bernstein. Forest, I'm getting a little bit worried about because they're averaging out a lot recently. Their form is they're getting back to real normalcy. It was really fun when they were class and no one could score on them for the first like half the season there. But I think that's going to be coming to an end.
Oh, that's done.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, if they end up getting knocked out of the FA Cup, they might have a bit more,
I still think they'll get Europe, probably.
They'll definitely get at least Conference League. So now that it's gone down to 7 places, they'll
like I still kind
they're
of
only actually 5 points off of 9th. So God, it's so tight.
I still think City will probably come second.
Yeah,
and I said they were in the depths of this. I still think they'll come second. I don't know, but Arsenal, I wasn't convinced just from the start of this season. Arsenal didn't. I
didn't fancy this.
Arsenal didn't change enough in the sense that
they're not investing enough in the team. Like, it feels like their starting lineup has been the same for like fucking 3 years.
So I hate Man United, as every real football fan should. But one thing Ferguson always got right was buy when you're at the top. Improve the team when you're already the best.
Never chase it, always layers.
Yeah, which is not what Arsenal have been doing at all. And actually, this is an interesting debate I heard someone having the other day. I'd like to get your take on it. Would you rather have Arteta or Emery?
Emery. I don't want Arteta anywhere near my team. He's so cringe, man.
Okay, yeah, no, he's a pothole. Fucking hell.
What did he do? He bought a dog, he called it Win, and he bought an olive tree.
That photo of the heart holding hands with the brain.
Like what? Like no, I don't want Arteta anywhere near the United fucking team, man.
Arsenal runs on cringe, man.
He's
All
good at
Arsenal
his
has
job,
is cringe. Do you remember Yo Pierre? Arsenal seems to be cringe. Arsenal Fan TV. The whole club is powered by cringe. They have a cringe reactor there somewhere in London, and it powers them.
They also had Emery. Let's not forget.
Yeah,
and they are better under Arteta than they were under Emery. That's a fact. Now, I'm not saying Arteta is better than Emery, but it's a fact they're better now than when they had Emery.
So City, right? If we're talking City and their likelihood of catching Arsenal, I can tell you, boys, Man City have one decent fixture left this year. They're playing Forest this week. And after that,
when you say decent, do you mean difficult?
Softest run. Difficult.
Okay,
I do. Everybody else is a walk in the park. It's bullshit teams like Spurs and United and those relegation boys. I think City will finish second. I think you're right, Derm. I think there's enough there, and I think Arsenal are now in full-on bottler mode. As well as that, Forest have lost 3 and drawn 1 of their last 5. The only team they've beaten in their last 5 games was when absolutely nothing happened to Brighton.
Yeah, but do you know what Forest are doing?
Slide.
But do you know what they're doing? And they've been doing it all year when it could have gone either way. They're winning games, not drawing games, not getting a nice draw away to whoever here. They're getting wins.
Yes.
And a win is worth 3 draws.
Yeah. But they'll want it this week because otherwise Arsenal, technically 3 draws. Yeah, very good. But they'll want to get a move on because they're 6 behind Arsenal, who are themselves at this point 13 behind.
Nah, it's tricky.
Like 19 points behind before Easter, like. It's not.
Yeah, but imagine being in 3rd place and you're Nottingham Forest. So who gives a fuck how many points behind you are?
Yeah,
you know,
true.
Fair.
True.
So, sorry to break up that little stream because I think it's time.
It's time.
JV, it's time.
We'll keep it simple tonight.
What have you got for us tonight?
Tonight we have a simple tale of woe, of glory and loss. And pride goeth before a fall. Oh, this time last week I was bragging in first, and then I had to take the piss. It turns out of enemies I am my own worst. I'm back down, so please do the quiz.
Very good, Jamie. Well done.
That was beautiful. Right, do we all know the rules?
Something.
Do we all know the rules of the quiz?
Shout your answer. Text into Liveline.
Yeah. Text 11110. No.
Joe Duffy.
What we've got is we had 10 questions. Technically, we actually have 11 questions because there's a bonus question if we need a draw. But I don't think this season we've ever used that. If you want to answer the question, shout out your name. First to shout out your name, you get to answer.
Can we do animal noises?
Do you want to do animal noises?
Yeah.
It's a seagull.
All right.
I'll do animal noise.
Moo.
Fuck! He took mine.
No.
All right, I'm going to be ba.
Okay, animal noise, and we'll decide if it's back in. Okay? Okay,
All
we
right,
happy?
go on.
We happy? We happy? Right, question number 1. Who has the most Golden Boot awards in the Premier League era?
Ba.
Dermot.
Probably Henri.
It would be Thierry Henry. He had 4. 2002, 2004, 2005, and 2006. He did 3 years on the trot.
I was gonna say Harry Kane. Does he have 2 or 3?
2.
He won 2 in a row anyway, definitely, didn't he?
Jeez, you
Yeah, actually, he would have been up against Aguero in his
Aguero, Haaland, a Salah year.
you almost would have had it, Dean, if you had guessed a different answer and been the first to buzz.
Question number 2. Which team plays their home games in the King Power Stadium?
Man, Leicester.
That would also be Dermot again, I believe.
Leicester.
Yeah.
Question number 3. Which club has scored the most goals in the Premier League era?
Ba. Manchester United.
3. Jesus, this might be a clean sweep. 2,333 goals for United. Second place is Liverpool with 2,248, and Arsenal won back on that on 2,247.
Wow.
Now, question number 4. Might be a bit of a tricky one. This is a real test of your ball knowledge. Which player has scored the longest ranged goal in the Premier League?
Begovic.
Jimmy was there first.
Oh, he was there
David.
first.
Jimmy was
You were
there
not.
first.
Sit down. It was David Beckham.
Move.
It wasn't.
Steve.
Begovic.
Go on, Dino.
It
That was my guess.
The answer, Jimmy.
was Begovic. Jimmy, he gave you the answer and he fucked it.
In fairness, Beckham did score the furthest goal that one day away to Wimbledon.
He did.
It might have been the longest. No, Charlie Adam would have been the longest distance outfield player. By the way, yes, Charlie Adam. Anyway, this is my favorite question. It's the career path question. I have played for West Ham, Bournemouth on loan, Leeds United, Manchester United, and Queen's Park Rangers.
Bah!
Dermot.
Rio Ferdinand.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
Yes. Shit, lads. He's wiping the fucking floor at the question number 6.
Didn't see that coming.
Well, Dean's got 1. You're doing better than Dean, or Dean's doing better than you, so that's the answer. That's the answer in itself. Right. Where am I? Question number 6. Who was the game week 27 highest scoring individual player in Statter? What player scored the points last week?
Pedro Neto got me loads of points.
But Pedro Neto is not the answer. He might have done well for you.
Moo. Diaz.
No.
Lewis or Ruben? I'm sorry, where were you going with that?
Huh?
Luis Diaz.
Luis Diaz. Did he not
It was
score? Did he not get
It was neither anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Jimmy, you may have a turn.
I got nothing. Totally blanking on this week.
Mateta, was it?
Would you like another crack? Would you like another go around? I'll let you have another go around.
Go ahead, boys.
Oh, all of us. I'm going to go with Mateta.
Nope, Dean, I'll give you another shout.
Marmouche.
No. It was Jadon Philogene for his 2-goal romp against Manchester United with Ismail Assar, number 2, and Justin Kluivert, number 3.
Weird week. Weird week for at the top. Like none of the reliables there.
Pre-cup.
Yeah.
This one's a bit of a trick question. A little bit of a trick question. But name the outfield player who has played the most minutes this season.
Max Kilman.
No.
I'm wondering why it's a trick question. Well, like obviously it's not just a straight up answer. It's a trick question.
It's by the novelty of they've played an extra game than all of the other the next batch of players on the list. If that helps.
Bah.
Go on.
Virgil.
Yeah, oh fuck me, yeah, it is.
Nice.
Yeah, because they've the 28th game played, haven't they?
Yeah, them in Villa.
Yeah.
Nailed right on.
Virgil has played exactly 90 minutes more than Collins, Henderson, Leno, Onana, Pickford, Raya, and a whole pile more, with only Salah second to him at the moment. Back about.
Okay, sorry, speaking of Bernd Leno, John, can I please have some positive vibes that perhaps he might save 2 penalties while he's fucking playing for me? Maybe?
No.
Yeah, maybe if they go to a shootout in the league.
Yeah, fair.
But just can we also appreciate that save that he made in injury time? Holy fuck.
You know, the J League used to do that when we were all kids and James was in his 20s. The Japanese league used to go to penalties if the games were a draw.
I saw
Twice now I've seen James this week.
I saw. I can't remember who made the suggestion this week, but I thought it was interesting. But somebody, it was like an ex-footballer who said that if a game finishes 0-0, well, then neither team should get any points. They're like, why are you rewarding teams for not achieving anything?
For defending. What are you talking about?
Yeah, no.
I don't hate it though. That is fun. Yeah.
Question number 8. Nathan Collins signed for Brentford last year for £23 million, but from which Premier League team?
Wolves.
Yeah, Wolves.
That's
I can skip next week if you want.
I need a better animal sound.
Jimmy needs better Wi-Fi.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Question number 9. How many points did Derby get in their now famously poor season?
11.
Nice. He's quick in with the buzzer, in fairness.
It's like he knows his animal sounds. Question number 10. Who holds the record for the most saves in a single Premier League season?
Oh, fuck. I thought it was going to be game. I thought it was going to be De Gea against Arsenal.
No.
Season, I'm going to guess Tim Howard.
No.
I mean, I think you just got 2 guesses there. But,
Yeah.
in one Premier League season.
In a single Premier League season.
You take 2 guesses, Dean, to see if you can catch up with this last question.
I don't think I'll
just to give you a context with this. In 4th place was Onana's season last year at United. Was the 4th most saves a keeper made in a single season.
So
Last
year, be busy, like.
His last season, Onana.
But you got to be busy but good, right? Because you're going to have to also save it.
Yeah, last season he made 4th most ever. Go on.
Nick fucking Pope.
No. What I will tell you is it's a team that would have been relegated. Could have been relegated.
Moo. I don't know what I was going to say, John, but I'm just going to say Pickford.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought for sure.
No.
I don't know. Aurelio Gomez for Crystal Palace wearing his trousers back in the day?
Nah. Seems as Dermot's already won the quiz. I may as well give you the answer, right?
Yeah.
Sam Johnson, the season West Brom went down.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
One of the 15,000 seasons West Brom have been relegated from the Premier League.
It's 1-1. It's 1-1.
Yeah.
Forest
Chris Wood?
and Ipswich. No, not Wood. It is... Who is
Elanga?
it? No, Elanga fed it in. It's
Hayes. Are you watching?
Yeah, I got a second screen here, yeah. Do you want to hear it?
Fancy stuff.
No,
that sounds like copyright. Copyright.
You're right, actually. You'd think I would know that. But yeah.
No.
Yeah, some lad called Hayes with broccoli hair. Bless him. He's done well. He's the number 22. Is it Hayes he's called? I don't know.
Was that it?
What was that?
Yeah,
that has to be some sort of high score.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh no, Gary.
8-1-0.
I think the biggest score. There was a clean sweep week 1 week.
Jesus. You must have the stabilizers on that week.
Nobody else was here.
Like Dean tends to know the answers, but he doesn't process quick enough. Bless.
Yeah, exactly. That's pretty much it.
Dean knows the answers.
I used to be good at the chase that during COVID, but my quizzing practice hasn't been up to scratch.
It's not about the quizzing; it's about the animal. Practice your moo.
Practice your moo.
I think we should go back to names this week because I had to kind of think about what my animal sound was each time, and you've got in there before me.
Dean could definitely be an animal noise.
I would like to see a different format where people get asked their fucking question directly, so that some of us with dial-up don't have to rely on like people waving flags to answer the question.
So everyone gets different questions to make sure it's definitely fair.
Yeah.
I might, do you know what? I might bring a different game format next week as a trial run format, like higher or lower with transfer values, goals, or assists, or some key metric.
What about a different topic? Like, I don't know, the Tudors.
Anyway,
crazy idea. What if we did one on the lyrical stylings of? No, I'm not going to go there.
Kunta Kinte,
who has actually got more shout-outs on this podcast than Juan Mata. But anyway, I digress. We have a shit pile of content over on the website right now. We have a few more articles, like fantasy football bingo, a whole pile of bullshit that might have happened, should have happened, and probably has happened to you. We have some other articles like, why is Mo Salah quite decent at the old sticky football thing that he done does? Why you should not bank solely on your team when picking your fantasy football team, because some of us are idiots and we overstack on one team. So yes, we have a shit pile of blogs. We have an app in on the way, and yeah, all going well. We're going to be seeing you play next year. In the meantime, read the blogs, join the waiting list, and any y'all got anything to say before we fuck off?
No.
Cheerio.
Thank you.
It's all happening on the website, lads. Go over, have a look. Statrdraft.com, or follow us wherever you follow people. Just not home.
Okay.